Hello everyone, and welcome to this latest video discussion as part of the RICS Tech Partner Programme. My name is Andrew Knight, and I've been here at RICS for nearly 12 years. And my role is to look at the whole impact of data and technology right across the built and natural environment. And with over 110,000 members working worldwide, right across the property life cycle through land, planning and development, construction, brokerage, valuation, finance, building operations, asset management, and end of life, and indeed working across all the major asset types of land itself, residential, commercial, alternative assets and infrastructure, there's clearly a huge opportunity to reap the benefits of how data and technology can improve the way the profession works and delivers its services to its clients, and indeed have a positive impact on issues like sustainability. And today I'm really happy to have Thomas and Jan join me from vreed, so please do come and join me on the discussion. Hello, both of you.
Hello, Andrew. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, and great to have you on the call. Now, I always like, before we get into the kind of bits and bytes, to get a bit of the kind of personal backstory piece in here. So it'd be great to hear really about your backstories, how you met, and the kind of the origin story of vreed.
Yes, first, thank you very much for the invitation. We're very glad to be here today. My name is Tom. I'm an engineer, and I have been planning factories for about 10 years in the beginning of my career. This is where my connection to real estate and to architecture came from. Later on, I was working as a consultant for organizational development, and this is where I gladly met Jan.
Yeah, hi Andrew, my name is Jan. I am an architect by profession, means that I studied 20 years ago, I studied architecture. In the last 20 years, I was working on different international projects, let's say worldwide, in different functions. And I always had a dream to create my own company and to do something on my own. And when I met Tom 4.5 years ago, yeah, we met and we had very fast a decision to create a company together and yeah, to do things in the real estate business.
And so, what was the reason behind vreed? What sort of problems are you solving?
The thing is, we always, working as an architect, I've been working a lot with digital projects and digital tools in the planning and construction business. And we met a lot of people. They just talk about, how bright the future could be and how things could change when you use digital tools. But at the end, nobody really did it, and nobody really implemented into the market. And our idea was really to provide software or to provide solutions that really can be used and then really that can create a benefit for all the participants, and that it's as easy as that mostly everybody can use it and not you don't have to study 5 years of architecture engineering, but really to create something that everybody is able to work on.
And I suppose, like many kind of early stage businesses, you presumably started with an idea, a particular kind of project and solution in mind. Did that change over time as you engaged with the market? What was the kind of story so far in terms of what you've been focusing on at vreed?
That's a really good question. Yeah, we started with a special idea, also in the real estate business, and we developed this, but then really understood that the market is still not ready for a solution like this. So we really had to shift or to change our business model. And we did this not only once, I think we did this twice, or even 3 times, yeah, until where we are right now. So it was not the easy way, let's say like this. So yeah, we had to change the business model, we had to change the ideas, and then come luckily to vreed Insight and to the product we're offering right now.
So given that journey's taken some time, what have you arrived at now? What's your solution providing? And as ever, what kind of problems are you solving for the sector?
Well, we see the whole life cycle of buildings, and we are deeply convinced that it's always helpful to have that digital twin. So to collect data, to gather data, to detail, to learn. But somewhere you need to start. And what we developed so far, which is our product on the market now, is a solution where you can easily enter data of a building. And we are quite proud that you don't need that much data. It's only a few things you have to know about your building. And then you can analyze it on its energetic efficiency, and you can also plan refurbishments, and you can see how much they cost, how much subsidies there are available, And we are continuing by connecting different solutions, such as valuation, such as risk management, to work with the data and to aggregate it with different functionalities, and so to get started maintaining your digital twin and to learn and to make use out of it more and more.
Now, I know when a lot of people sort of hear the words digital twin, they perhaps are a little scared or hesitant because they envisage these very highly visualized digital twins with lots of sensors and lots of real-time data. Is your approach almost a much more kind of simple, just get started approach of just starting to collect various data sets and build up? Because I think a lot of people perhaps are scared of embarking on that journey. What is your approach in that way?
It's absolutely true. It's not yet about visualization, and this will come later on. We are also thinking about LiDAR scans to add that point of geometry to the digital twin. But as easy as it is, even the location, the living area, the shape of the building is already a very small, but it is a digital twin. And we see a high demand of this data currently, for example, for banks, which are our customers, and because they have to do sustainability reportings, but they know nothing. They know nothing. And it's really as easy as that when you have the living area, when you have the shape of the building, the height of the building, you can start calculating. And of course, the more you want to know, the more data you have to collect. But this is the overview on the whole life cycle. We started with this very easy situation with the business case of refurbishment.
And I suppose it reflects the fact that actually we start with many participants in the marketplace almost knowing nothing about their buildings. As you say, it's quite simple things in terms of what's the floor plate, how many floors, what's the shape of the building, basically what's the envelope, how big is it? It's remarkable there's so little data about so many assets.
Yes, definitely. We know big players, banks, for example, and it's really astonishing that there's so little data. Maybe the data is there, but it's somewhere in the basement, in the archive, and it's not accessible. But you need to store it in a way you can make use of the data. You can connect it to other sources which are already here, but it's not feasible to connect them because they are not digital or not in the right the right shape, so to say.
And you said that kind of refurbishment has turned out to be perhaps the most sort of initial use case that people are keen on. And
exactly.
No, carry on, Thomas.
No, we see it currently because due to rising energy prices, due to sustainability reporting, there is a demand. You know, people like digital twins because maybe they are fancy, but there's not really a demand. They don't need it to solve their problems. But currently we have problems we can solve by the solution, for example, for refurbishment and as a way to save energy.
And in terms of technology, what kind of technology is involved? I mean, both in terms of you providing the platform and how users can actually interact with it.
I think there are two main parts that we're using. First is a really easy to use user interface, because we don't want to have an expert solution that is might be impressing by the numbers of buttons that you can press. But it should invite everybody. You know, everybody should be the position should be able to use that even at 3 in the morning on the couch when you found a nice advertisement and you say, okay, I want to buy this house. What do I have to do? You can enter the data in our tool, and it's really easy with easy switches, and you can see, okay, what happens when I start refurbishing the roof, for example? What does it mean? And so this is the one part. On the other side, in the back end, of course, we have the calculations, which are really complex, and because they are following the norms and standards we have in Germany and Europe. And we are using, of course, APIs. We are using different database systems. We are using RICS for the user interface. So there are many components that work together. But in the end, it's, you know, what we say, type little, learn a lot. So enter only a few little data and receive a huge amount of results that are helpful for you. And because of this, we have this user interface, and of course, we have a quite complex backend.
And that back end, I mean, when you say complex, is that using any artificial intelligence, or you're able to work with relatively simple algorithms?
Seems that you know our roadmap. Yeah, exactly. Because imagine that you just have 3 or 5 pictures of your house, and immediately the AI will tell you how much window area you have, how big the facade is, maybe even recognize the type of glass that is in the window. So we are starting this at this point of our journey. We don't have enough data to really bring it back to the market, but we are already learning. We're using these tools because we are absolutely convinced that, as you know, everything that can be digitized will be digitized, and so our real estate. And this is what we're working on.
And you mentioned, you know, APIs, links to other systems, and I'm always very mindful that a lot of real estate data sits in different data silos in different places, and there are connections you can make. What sort of connections have you been able to make to help the asset owners combine data from these other sources?
Well, first it starts with the API, with an interface to a real estate platform. And so you don't have to retype all the information from the advertisement into our tool. It's just an easy import that you do, and you have everything that is there stored in structured data, and you can use it. We are using a tool for valuation of the buildings. It's not our core business, but there are very great solutions in the market. We can use them, and so it goes on with what else do we have?
Yeah, we are using weather data, for example. So exactly. we are connected to weather databases where we extract necessary informations. We do risk management in terms of that, you know, for example, that we have maps and we have data for flood areas and for high risk areas in terms of seismic positions, in terms of highly windy areas, stuff like this. So everything that is connected to a building in terms of a real risk management. Especially for banks, it's interesting. So that's where we are connected. And today, if there is an API and if there is a proper database behind, it's quite easy to connect and to see what kind of data you can extract from other databases and how to use it. So that's I think quite a good story, and that's mainly our target. Also, not only to develop everything our own, but really to use existing data, to use existing databases, and then trying to connect the data and then creating a benefit. So. And that's what we see on the market, that there, as you say, there are a lot of silos, a lot of information available on the market, but just the information itself, it's not value enough. You know, you cannot create value out of this. And that's, you know, what we are doing. We're trying to connect data, trying to connect informations, and that's what we do with our platform.
And I know it's in certain jurisdictions it can be a real problem in the extent that, do you have challenges about joining that data together, that you have a building and it's identified in a certain way in one data set and identified in another way in another data set, and also perhaps some of that data will be in a document form, not in a structured way? Are you bumping into those kind of challenges?
Yes, sometimes. You know, the thing is that we're always trying to make it easy. You're not say, if we're looking on a building and we are looking then just on the location, and we're trying then to connect information to a certain location. So this is not directly connected to the building itself, but to the street and to the house number and to the location, for example. And with that information, then we are feeding the digital twin. And so we are not always connecting data one by one. So we're trying to bring a step in between, which is, let's say, like an interface of the data, and then this is helping us, because, as you say, otherwise it's often very difficult to interpret information and to see what they are really meaning and if they are really on the same dimension level, stuff like this. And that's why we try to minimize the connecting point of the data to a certain, for example, to a certain location, and then to continue working with the data.
And are you looking at one particular kind of asset type? Is it commercial? Is it residential? Is it a mix? Or are the banks particularly focused, say, on residential lending and retrofit?
That's what we're doing in so-called phase one. So currently we're just having a look at residential buildings. Market is big enough for that, so yes. We are really happy about that. But in general, we are looking then also for commercial buildings, industrial buildings. So this will be the step number 2 or step number 3, because we can see that there is also for this kind of real estate, there is a high demand on the market to look for solutions. That's what we recognize in a lot of meetings. But yeah, we have to do it step by step.
Oh yeah, I understand. And I mean, thinking of the future, what is your vision in terms of where this solution can go? Because obviously, we've just touched on one use case, which is that retrofit, and as you say, you're focusing initially on residential. What's your vision in terms of the scale of this, the kind of stakeholders who can use it, and the kind of use cases? And indeed, we've touched on things like artificial intelligence, but where do you see the technology growing in this area?
Well, our big picture is an ecosystem where in whatever position you are, as an owner, as a tenant, as a bank, as an insurance, whoever is concerned with real estate should have the possibility to manage whatever she or he has to do in this ecosystem. So if and we are also striving to have this digital twin as the second part to the physical real estate. There should be a digital twin that is also growing and learning and changing over the whole life cycle, gathers all the data, and in the ecosystem you can find every functionality you're looking for. You can share information, but keep in control of this information, of course. So if you want to present your building to your bank for whatever case, you can share the data set, but you can also call it back. And this is quite easy using also blockchain technology, for example, to really make sure that the digital twin is not manipulated by whoever. And this is what we see quite clear in the future. There might be some changes in legal ways, of course, as well. And I think Germany is not the fastest player here on this field. But we want to show the possibilities that are already there. You just have to do it, and to of course organize it all in a standardized way. Because when now every player on the market is starting its own standard and solution, this will not help. We need standardized solutions, but first we need to give an impression of what is possible and where the benefits are. For us, they are quite clear, and this is why we offer it to the market, and we are really happy to see the big feedback that we have already.
And what do you think will be the barriers? Because often I think the technology exists, but as you say, there are issues perhaps around legal framework, around lack of data standardization. What do you think will be the biggest barriers that will stop this becoming widespread as an approach?
Well, from my point of view, it's acceptance, and acceptance by the user that is caused by the lack of understanding of the benefits. So we see many people say, yeah, but why do I need a digital twin? Because the house is already here, I have my plans here, and there's not really the need for any changes for digital solutions. But we are absolutely clear that we have a big tax how do you say reform and new taxation of building in Germany, and it's horrible because nobody has the data, and you have to read it in one platform and put it into another. This would be so easy with digital twins, and we hope that the acceptance is rising. And then, of course, the way is open for new solutions.
And I suppose in contrast, obviously the retrofit agenda has been a driver, but what other drivers do you think there'll be? We've talked about barriers, but what do you think on a positive side will drive adoption?
As Tom said, I think the regulations will drive and the laws will drive, but I also think that I think within the next years, the mentality using tools will also change. So if I'm looking at my children, they're using, let's say, the iPhone much better than I do, and I think this will also be an issue for the next years that it's not a must to use a tool or a twin. It's just like a gaming issue. Everybody wants to do this, and I think this is the driver that's going to change. And I think if you are looking around the world and see how other countries and how other companies are using existing data, especially in the real estate business, then I think also Germany will understand that there's a high benefit besides all the problems and the legal issues we have, that it's the only way to see how the future will work. And there is no paper life which we had 50 years ago. So it has to change, and that's why we are really talking all the time that we really think that there will be digital twins of all the buildings in the near future, because everybody will understand the benefits. And if it's legally driven, if it's economy driven, if it's having a brighter view what's happening in the world and saying what the competitors are doing driven, and that's why I think there will be many drivers which are now stepping out step by step, but I think it will take a little time until there will be a real breakthrough.
So we talked about your long-term view of the ecosystem. In the shorter term, the next 6-12 months, the rest of 2023, what are the main areas that you're going to be focusing on?
Well, firstly, we're currently scaling, so we are really happy to find more and more customers and receive more feedback from the market, of course. Wishes that they have additional functionality, and another challenge is that we have is information security, because we are currently working the first edition of our product, which was really fast in development. So settle it on a good basement is another one. And yeah, the roadmap is filled until the end of the year with nice functionality and nice features, and we're really looking forward to bring that to the market.
Well, it's been a pleasure to talk to you both, Thomas and Jan, and I look forward to catching up perhaps later in the year and see how that roadmap has progressed. But for today, thanks so much for your time, and it's been a pleasure to talk to you both.
Thank you very much. It was great. Thank you.